right, here we are. Good afternoon from sunny southern Alberta. We're in Coaldale. Everett Dirksen here with Bryan Mahachik, and we are with the firm EJD Mahachik, and we're talking right now 6 financial mistakes that your shop is making right now. So got a couple things today on the go. We're going to look at 2 questions, Bryan, that we think make up some of those 6 mistakes. The one is that your books in your office are messy. We think that's a problem. And then we're going to get into talking about margins and why we think that they're giving a lot of shop owners the wrong results. So Bryan, very quickly, tell us a little bit about who you are and what we're up to here.
Yeah, Bryan Mahachik again. We are EJD, and we have an accounting platform of services, if you will, called Money Wrench.
Yeah.
And what we do is we work pretty exclusively with shop owners from across the country, and we really help them understand their business, understand their numbers better, understand and work with them to improve those numbers. And a shop, repair shop, automotive focus.
Cool. Awesome. Love it. Well, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, you bet.
And good to be here, and right before a weekend.
You bet. So, what do you got going on there, Everett?
Oh, did you notice that there's paperwork in?
Yes, I somewhat did there. I'm curious to know what's going on.
Oh, it's not just that I'm a terrible cameraman, Bryan. What I want to talk about is having a messy shop. So when I was hiding behind those papers, pretty tough to see me.
It was.
Right? And it was actually kind of awkward, I'll be honest with you. And it was pretty tough for me to see you. And so what I want to come across with today is a message of a messy shop or a messy office or a messy anything means you just can't see very clear. Right. When I'm hiding behind this stuff like this, and this is what my desk looks like, you know, I kind of got to peer out there to figure out what's going on. And I don't really ever get the real clear picture of what my business is doing. And so we look at that internally here. We like to keep a nice clean office, right? Because that means we're more efficient, means we can find things. And we want shop owners to keep a clean office. We got a couple tools to do that with, but we think that will help them get some clarity, be able to see their business in more real time, be able to see what's outstanding or what's not happening. And really, a lot of people, when they get that messy buildup of paperwork and stuff like that, after a while it gets to them in their head, right? You start to, you feel uncomfortable with it, you're frustrated with it, maybe bills get missed, that kind of thing.
Well, even just the optics of it, right? Like clean feels like you're on top of things. I mean, even the back end of the shop, right? And where all the work's getting done. If you go back into a shop and it's dirty and messy and there's tools all over the place, it gives a customer, an idea that these guys don't know what they're up to. Right?
Yeah, no, I know my mechanic. When I go there, car's taken good care of, or my truck is taken good care of. It's clean when I leave. They've done a nice job of putting floor mats down and all the little added touches that they do. And when I go back into the shop, because sometimes they let me wander back there, I see that toolboxes are neatly arranged. Stuff's not just scattered all over the place. Right now, I know there's some of those too. But I look at that and I say, okay, that mechanic shop, they've got it figured out. They know that a nice clean set of tools, things aren't going to get missed. They know where the stuff is when they need to go get it. I think those are things you learn as you go. And so you're bang on there. Absolutely.
So are there other? I mean, I see that's the good old paper and whatnot. What other options do I got besides the black synoptic book and writing down my entries?
That's right. That's a great question. So bookkeeping, which is what we refer to with most of the paperwork all the time, has really evolved over the last probably 10 years, even a little bit longer. It used to be, right, I would come in with my ledger here and I've got all my numbers written down and they balance and they add, or they might not. But anyway, I say, Bryan, here's all my numbers. I'm pretty sure they're good. That's like once a year, right? You're my accountant. There's my stuff. Go to it. Do whatever you got to do. I don't understand it anyway. Where bookkeeping sort of evolved into was then now, electronic software. You got the old QuickBooks, Sage, or was Simply Accounting, some of those old classic ones.
Where
you could keep your stuff and it would be on my computer. in the shop, or in the office, whatever. Not protected from firewalls, not protected from viruses. I didn't really know how to do it. Probably not backed up even, just in case the computer crashed.
Yeah.
And so that was fine. We did that for a while. But then my accountant really couldn't see the numbers either. They'd have to come to my shop, actually sit at my desk and look at the stuff on there. Or I'd take them a little USB drive or whatever.
Yeah.
Bookkeeping's evolved so far in the last few years, especially with online. We got cloud solutions now where your data is in the cloud, right?
Is that safe?
Oh, it's more safe than having it on your desktop, on your PC, right? We keep all sorts of stuff on our computers without the right security, without the right things. And the companies that run these cloud accounting programs have spent billions of dollars on security because they know that's their bread and butter. They got to keep that data safe. You can still have it backed up. And the beauty of it is, so Brian, we can have your accounting team access those numbers in real time, go find out problems, go see what's missing. So we actually do here at the office what we call watch the books.
Okay.
And it's a monthly thing where we go and we look and we say, hey, this is what it looks like you've done this past month. We noticed a couple of funny things here. Maybe this account wasn't reconciled. Maybe another number looks a bit wrong or funny. And we just want to know why. And what we found is, we catch mistakes way faster in the year-end process because we're looking at them all the time.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, catching those numbers and seeing the variances early lets you fix it, right? If you don't see your numbers except for once a year, you have no way to know whether you need to improve or anything like that, or it's too late.
And you're probably just sitting there looking at what's in the balance in your bank account and going, I guess I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in your example there with like just the paper and the strewn about office and whatnot, I mean, bills can get missed. I come in, the mail comes in, it falls behind my desk, and there's and then I got guys hounding me for because I haven't paid them, and does the cloud help with that, or like do these new programs help with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Some of them do, and specifically we use a company called Receipt Bank, and it's really just an online receipt capture, and you can capture your receipts in there, other documents. We have clients that throw everything in there: legal paperwork, letters, all sorts of stuff goes in there, and then it filters back into the bookkeeping almost in real time. You still got to press a couple of buttons and tell it what it is.
Yeah.
But so good, it takes the paperwork right out of your office, puts it in a more automatic system, makes for less touches by you. And then your system will actually tell you when those bills are due, right? Say, hey, this is due in 10 days, write a check, do whatever it takes. And those are some pretty cool things. And they're a different habit to get into. But all of a sudden, you don't have this mound of paper on your desk. It's all flowing right where it should, right in the right amount of time.
Right, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So I really love it. We use that a lot here, and a lot of our clients, would never go back to the old model of getting a piece of paper and writing out the invoice and this and that. It's just your time is way better spent running your shop, being nice to your customers, helping your technicians out. That kind of stuff.
There's enough things that can stress you in a business, but without having your books being a year or 6 months behind, right? So what you're saying then really is like a good benefit of the cloud here is much more real time data, much more up to date. I can be up to date the minute a transaction runs through my bank. In theory, if I'm updating things, I can update it daily if I want.
Yeah, absolutely. It updates all the time.
So it does it you can do it automatically.
Pretty near, yeah. So you got to click in a couple of things, but it'll pull in from the bank account all the time, or every couple hours or whatever it is, and really safe, really secure. Never had any problem with any of that stuff, and don't even hear of any problems because, like I said, they do spend a lot of money on it. And what I think, probably that leads us into the next little question here that you're going to talk about, that ability to see data all the time. You can have your accounting team looking at it, and they don't need much time.
No,
right? They need half hour every month to spend pouring through there, seeing what you've been up to, seeing what you've been doing or what your bookkeeper's been doing, and getting a quick picture of what the year is shaping up. And there's so much more value from an accountant when they can do that for your shop, right? They're helping you out. They're looking at margins, and that's what we're going to talk about is margins. And so, maybe that's a good segue to close off talking about my messy books and move into messy margins. I don't know. So tell me, I guess to start that off, if somebody doesn't really know, what is a margin?
Effectively, it's what I got my sales, and then I got the costs that went into generating that sale, and that's my margin. So margins can be a couple things. It can be what we like to refer to as a gross margin. You can have, which is really my sales and my direct costs that go into that margin.
Right, so I sell a service for $100. And the cost to me is 80.
Right.
Margin is
20.
Right. Okay.
20% essentially. And then you've also got your net profit margin at the bottom end of your balance sheet or your P&L, which is ultimately not just the direct cost, but everything else that supports the business. That's your office supplies, your rents, those types of things that didn't necessarily go directly into the sale,
right?
If you will.
Yeah. So there's other things, not just the cost of the material,
not just the cost of the part that I'm selling a part for $100, and the cost to me from Napa is say 60, and there's a 40% margin there. Well, then there's other costs in my business, of course, my just my subscriptions and my telephone bills and those types of things that would fall under the gross margin component of it.
Okay, so this must be important enough for us to want to talk about. What do most shop owners or do most businesses in general know what their margins are?
Well, it's a great question. In our experience, in my experience in doing and working in the accounting profession, what do we see typically when a client brings in their books? Aside, you spoke about the once a year type thing, and that's how. If I look back to when I started, that's how a lot of it was. It was here's my once a year, and here's my numbers, and we would work with the client to just really produce their tax returns, and it's all historical information, 18 months old, some of it.
So not much value all year long. Just really. Kind of a once in a lifetime.
It's a compliance thing. Filing, effectively. You're not getting much other than, hey, here, Mr. Government, here, Mr. Trudeau, here's my tax return and my check, and off you go. Where we're at now is we're wanting to be much more proactive with these margins, or with the advice that we can provide to clients on a real-time basis, essentially.
Okay, so that is a great point. What's the benefit to me as a shop owner to know what my margins should be?
Well, what they should be. Okay, so I could be sitting there thinking I'm doing a great job. At pulsing at a margin, or I might not even know what I'm supposed to be hitting. Right. But I think I'm doing a good job because there's a little bit left over in the bank, at the end of the day, and my profit and loss statement says I made a little bit of money. The guy down the street understands what he's should be hitting in those margins, and he's running his business and he's aligning his business to hit those margins, and he's doing the same amount of sales as you are, and he's making 3-4 times the amount of money.
That's right.
Because he's looking at that margin going, I know what it should be, and I'm not hitting it. Well, why? There's all kinds of reasons as to why that could be the case. You could be paying too much for parts. You could be not charging for parts. Your technicians could be inefficient. Your labor could be inefficient, and the guys who are working for you, who probably all great guys, but they could be working, or maybe they should be working harder, quicker type thing.
So I already know the answer to this, so I got a bit of a leg up. But when you talk to shop owners right now, you've got how many margins that you're actually looking at in the system you build for them?
There's lots. But really on the primary end, there's about 4 that we look at on the revenue side of the coin. We're low, and the 2 big ones being your parts and labor. Those are generally the major revenue sources for generally they are the most the largest revenue sources for most shop owners.
Okay, so how do I get my system to tell me those numbers?
Yeah.
Right? What do I do?
So that is a good, when we typically bring on a new client,
Yeah.
If you've been working with a coach, there's lots of coaching companies out there.
Yeah.
So if you're working with a coach, you're probably more familiar with this, but a lot of shop owners who aren't working with coaches, it's just even the basic build of their profit and loss statement.
Yeah, right.
Like if you look at 9 out of 10, they just have sales and then all their expenses listed. Yeah. So their statement isn't even set up.
It doesn't even make any sense
to show these margins, right?
Yeah.
So all they're really focused now on is the bottom end number,
right?
And they're not looking at it going, geez, in behind the scenes, I should be hitting X for this, X for parts, Y for labor, and they have no idea because the numbers just, something as simple as setting up the chart of accounts right isn't being done.
So let's look at just straight math, right? I'm a shop and let's say I sell $1 million worth of revenue, right? That's parts and labor and everything else that's in there. A 5% change in my margin is going to make me
that's $50,000
bucks.
Exactly.
So that's a medium-sized shop generally that we look at.
And it'd be that 50,000 actually. You'd be amazed at how. There's some low-hanging fruit there that a lot of shop owners don't know that you could easily grab quickly.
So we're talking about a little investment in maybe a better bookkeeping system, which is actually going to give you a ton of other value, and the potential to identify these margins that are actually, I don't think 5% change is that big of a jump.
No, if we're talking 50% change, then that's you're asking a lot. But a 5%, like I said, there's a couple things that we can do to get that 5% margin happening pretty fast.
Oh, that's amazing! And you take that 50 grand, and now you're going to do it every year from now on.
Yeah, of course you can get to a point where the margin, you can't go. If I could sell $1 and it doesn't cost me anything, I mean. But there's a lot of room for a lot of shop owners to move to increase those margins and make more money. And what does 50,000 mean to you?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it means that you're paying off that loan 5 years quicker, or maybe it's you're buying that boat that you want.
I have been looking at a boat, Brian.
Or my wife is wanting to do some renos on the house. Maybe it's rather than having to take on debt.
Yeah,
I got it to pay that rental, right?
Love it.
I mean, there's lots of what does it really mean? And that's a lot of the times when we talk to shop owners. It's what is an extra $10,000, $12,000, $15,000? What would that mean to you? I mean, and a lot of times when that sinks into the owner, it's like, hey, I gotta do this.
Yeah, real value there, I'd say.
Yeah.
So. Let's just, we'll wrap it up pretty quick here, but what's who out there in Canada is helping mechanic shop owners know those margins, understand what they do, and then fix them?
Well, we are. I think, where we're at here is with our knowledge of shop owners and working with them, we've got that specific industry insight to provide them that knowledge. And a lot of the traditional accountants, and I'm not by any means sitting here, bad-mouthing any the accountants or the industry. But unless you have that specific industry insight and to know what should be happening, it's hard to. How do you advise a client of yours when you don't know their business?
Sure.
Ultimately, like at the intricate level.
Yeah.
And that's really where we're coming at.
Cool. No, that's really awesome. Well, I know you've got a ton of tools built all the way throughout the year, even to your financial statements are a bit different for mechanic shops. They got margins built into there. All sorts of stuff. So that's pretty awesome. For sure, I think that's great. Let's wrap that up. Margins are giving you the wrong results, either because you don't know them, you don't understand them, or probably your system's just not built to give them to you.
That's generally what we find when we see a new client. It's they provide us their P&L, and you look at it and you take 2 seconds and you go, we got it. The first thing we got to do is revamp.
Right.
And we talked in an earlier about the POS system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the next step is getting the POS system to align, because the POS is where where the shop owner is living in reality. They think that's their day to day. It's the richest source of information for most shops, but then when it doesn't tie back to the accounting, which is reality, so all these things tie in together. But you gotta be running an accounting system and a chart of accounts that's lining up to give you these numbers. Otherwise, they're going to get lost in the weeds, right?
Okay, so the natural question, and it's not, we didn't prep this answer, that's for sure, is how much does that cost me? Is this going to cost me an arm and a leg as a shop owner to try to get that money back, try to get this system in place? What's the real value to me in the end?
Not really. I mean, we've got pricing on the website that has the different packages in there. We've got tiered packages, so you can sit there and get the A-class package, or that you don't need to do that if that's not in your budget.
Yeah.
But it doesn't generally take a lot for us to revamp a chart of accounts. It's a minimal investment in the long haul.
Cool.
When you think about it in that regard.
Okay.
I would recommend it at any point in time. It's an investment in your future, in your business, to get you that right data. If you're not looking at the right data, how can you analyze anything in your business?
Okay, perfect. I couldn't agree more. I think that makes total sense to me. If anybody wants to contact you and just chat more about this kind of stuff, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah. I'm always open for a call.
Yeah.
We do have meetings and whatnot, so if you just pick up the phone and you try to call, you might not reach me, but I'll definitely call you back. I mean, and that's really the best way, I think, is a phone call. It's the best way. I mean, we are moving to the Zoom platform. I mean, we certainly do correspond with clients a lot on Zoom. But phone call 403-405-0034.
Okay.
You check us out at moneywrench.ca. Gives you more insight as to what we're up to here. There's connect@moneywrench.ca if you want to email me, or email me directly, Bryan, Bryan, @ejdworks.ca.
Okay.
And we will, I'm always up for a good chat with the shop owner. I like dealing with shop owners. They're just down to earth guys and gals, and that's what we like. So.
No, I know you are too, and I know you've had lots of those conversations, and they're usually pretty positive. So appreciate that. That wraps up today. We talked about having messy books and a messy office. We talked about margins and how to get something out of them, or how to at least understand them. We could probably talk about them all day, but we won't be able to. So that kind of wraps up our 6 mistakes that we think shops are making right now. If you missed the other 2, they're on our Facebook channel. You can go watch them anytime you want. We will
be putting up that ebook right away on them.
We do have an ebook coming that's under the same topic.
Yeah.
Gives some good information about where the problem areas are and why shop owners should even start thinking about these types of things. Yeah. Right. And so that's some good stuff. I'm excited for you to have that out. Next week, we're going to wrap up this series, and we just called it the segment "Getting the Most from Your Numbers." Right. So we're going to wrap up these 6 things, try to bring them all together, and have one nice conversation, you and I, really more about what are we up to here, and why we think this matters to shop owners, and why we think it can make them better. Cool. All right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks, Bryan.
Yeah, thanks, Everett.
It's awesome. We will be back again next Friday at noon, and hope to see you all there.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
See ya.